UConn. So welcome. So I sent out the agenda shortly before the meeting started so that everybody get a chance to at least look at their email and download or print your October agenda. I'm going to assume that is a yes. That's why I like standing up. So we got a full agenda. I also noticed that you noted that I have extended our meetings by 30 minutes. We have some work to do. I have been given some solutions or some options or some recommendations for us to meet with the program leads and the program coordinators so we can make sure that we are meeting our federal and our state responsibilities. Some of those suggestions was weekly meetings. No. Some of those suggestions were, let's say, more TI. I'm not a fan of meeting just to meet. So I have been doing technical assistance again with specific agencies, and I want to continue that strategy. In addition, I have extended this meeting for 30 minutes, hoping that I can get your feedback and you can get my feedback. And also, if you see from this room, you have me, your new WIOA Youth Coordinator with Opportunity Youth Pass. To my right, we have
Ocasio-Lopez.
To my left,
Xavier Phillips.
And then Trustee Bro.
okay. So let's get started. And I have seen, and I was bragging about you guys to my leaders, so I do not expect for this to take a long time, but can I get at least 2 success stories from your September report? And you guys did great with submitting success stories. So can I get 2 success stories so we can get moving on our agenda?
This is Renee. The success story that I wrote down for APCA was that I had a gal struggling to see in her classes, and I was able to get her an eye exam and get her glasses so she could be more successful. She's very thankful.
Good job, Renee. Good job. Can I get another success story? I know it's hard just to give me 2, but I know you can do it because I read your report. So who I got? Kate? The last person that was introduced was Lanille from UConn. So I'm looking for a success story. Lanille, I'm going to pick you.
For September we had Tawny. For September we had Tawny. Lisa, do
Red Fox.
you have the exact success story?
Say it
Right now. Hold on one second.
Tell me real quick about the young man that's out of school that you are helping connect with NIT through the Job Center.
That's not the one we wrote about, but I can tell you about that one. Well, there's one student who I've been helping for the past about 2 years. He has basically gone through college and is going through college twice because he went to college the first time and he didn't take it seriously, and he wasn't going to class, he wasn't doing the things he was supposed to do. And then towards the end, he started to get his act together, but they ended up sending him home. So following up, continuing with that young man, he kept going to different trainings for welding, and now he's back up at Ilosavik College working on welding or building trades, and he is doing right now plumbing. And it took him the ability to fail and understand that he really wanted something for him to grow and get to that point to where he is now. And now he has a job, he's going to school up there, so he's doing pretty good.
Thank you, Lanille. Success stories are one of the things that get me going. and it's a reminder of who we serve. We do not serve the ones that have everything together. As part of the definition for the WIOA Youth Program, our young people got to have at least one or more barriers. So as you get to know me, I am one to like to model. I have worked in probably with every vulnerable population. I have worked in substance abuse treatment. I have worked in the corrections. I have worked in welfare to work. And so one of the things that I like to encourage my programs, my teams, my grantees to do is like we have to mimic what we want our young people to see. And I know a lot of us, including myself, had challenges when the pandemic first hit and we had to go home. But like virtual work is going to be something that's not going away. So like even turning your camera on, even learning how to like disguise your house if you're working from home, like you could get things that can blur out your background. So again, we work with young people who are vulnerable. For them to be enrolled in your program, they had to demonstrate that they have one or more barriers. So like these success stories to me are a good reminder to why we do the work that we do. So going on to the agenda, and I see Heidi. Heidi, you have a question or a success story? I hope it's a success story.
It was a question, sorry.
That's all right.
So since we're talking about students and needing to have one or more barriers, I'm wondering if you could just clarify off the top of your head the income issue. Is income just in consideration with basic skills deficient or ELL or that 5% category, or is income consideration for everything? Because we've had inconsistent, what you read versus what's been told doesn't match, and I'm wondering if you know that without digging into it and looking at it.
Okay, you tested me, Heidi, so I'm gonna give you the answer because you know I've been reading and looking at these reports. So income makes a difference, a clear difference in school youth. So if they qualify for in-school youth, we must look at their income, and it's one exception. And that's if they got an IEP. I remember this because both of my older daughters have IEPs in schools because Eugene knows he knows me. So that is one reason. If the kid has a disability such as an IEP, then you don't have to count the income of the household. That I know off the top of my head. In school youth. Out of school youth may be different. And you said at the top of my head, so that's the best I can do. I know if they in school, it is something that we have to look at.
Okay, thank you. Because out of school is what I'm actually inquiring about, but what you read versus what we've been told does not match. So, and what I've read federally does not match what I've been told state. So there maybe there's a state directive, a state thing written that's why it doesn't match federally. I don't know. So that's one of the things I'm just wondering if because we haven't gotten clarification on that yet.
So I can clarify this without clarifying. That goes to my second bullet. Right now, I can't see where we are churning away any young person. And that does not mean that every young person is correct for our program. And when I say our program, I'm talking about WIOA Youth. But we are partners. As I've been reading this and learning how we fit in, we have partners under the DOL Workforce Development umbrella. And our partners, and you have heard me say this more than once, voc rehab, education, our schools. So every young person may not be Job Corps. Job Corps is a good partner. So every person may not be ready for our program, but I say right now, any young person that's coming and asking us for assistance and going into employment and training, I think we can find something because, and again, I have my supervisor, so we're going to treat this case by case. But going to the second bullet, I don't know, so it was just a reminder. I have attached, last month, I attached this report that was completed by vocational rehab and some of their partners in 2020. And in that report, if you have not had time, okay, but everything I do, believe it or not, is going to have some meaning to it. So I really don't do nothing for nothing. So I wanted you to look at that report when you get time. It was sent out last month with your agenda. And I was talking to my assistant director briefly this morning. So when that report came out in 2020, which was prior to the pandemic, it reported that we have in our state in Alaska 6,000 youth between 16 and 24 with a disability and disconnected. And when I say disconnected, that means they're not in school, have not graduated, and they're not working, that they're not looking for work. And that was in 2020. And again, I'm just asking hypothetically to my assistant director this morning, do you think that number has increased since the pandemic? Now, I have not been able to go to all the areas in Alaska, but the areas that I have visited, including my hometown of Anchorage, it appears that I would think that the number has went up. What do you think about it? And Renee, I saw your hand, so don't forget your questions. So we have, and these youth, the youth that they define with disabilities, when you get time and review that report, like maybe some of your downtown read or your lunch break, I was going to say smoke room, I'm telling them myself, read it. It also includes the young people that we work with. It includes foster care youth. It includes youth from juvenile justice. So those youth that we work with one or more barriers are included in that number. And this was important enough, and this was not planned, but I'm glad Heidi asked that question. I like problems. I can't see us turning away a young person right now. I think that number has increased since 2020, and right now, actively, I think we have like less than 500 cases active. But as I'm learning that it's pieces to these puzzles. So even though altogether we have less than 500 young people active, we do have this follow-up service. So I don't want to forget the follow-up service, because I know I was looking at Eugene's report, and Eugene was telling me, like, for the month of September, they have 253 youth in follow-up. So, and that also takes time to mentor, to follow up, to ensure that they're successful. So we have a lot of work to do, because not only do we want to make sure that we're meeting our federal and our state obligations, as you documented in your grant application, we have a lot of youth that are disconnected. And one thing, I used to come from 9-Star originally. I always been in a nonprofit. I'm passionate about the at-risk. I'm passionate about vulnerable people. I'm passionate about people who don't have a voice. I'm passionate about you guys. I have been told since I started here, and I have seen it, that you guys have the heart to do this work. And right now, we just have to do some things to make sure that, again, we're meeting our data validations and all of our obligations, and also can increase our caseload so we can meet more of these young people needs. The next thing on the agenda is a friendly reminder. I was talking to, again, two of my leads before our meeting started, and I know we come from different walks. This is my first government, but we have a regional roundtable coming up by the Employment and Training Administration. The dates have been changed, and that's going to be November 29th through 31st. I asked Kate, I talked to a lot of you guys, but I know 9-Star and CERC have been the longest WIOA Youth providers, so I asked Kate. And Kate told me this is the first opportunity of this nature that we have had in a while. I recommend that all of us try to attend all 3 days. Life is not perfect. Maybe you can't. So again, we are a team. We will attempt to have some recordings available. I know that the feds will also record this conference, but usually it's like a 2 to 3 week delay before that recording is available. And I have also talking to Heidi. We looked at resources. So I know I've been sending out a lot of emails about different resources that we need to be abreast of. Do anybody got questions about the data, about your caseloads? I know, Eugene, I asked you to talk about your follow-up cases because I need to know about that, and I need for my leadership to know about those things as well. Again, looking at the active cases that we have enrolled, we have like 400 and it's less than 500. Then I have heard from providers, let's say Alaska Primary Care. And then I hear like a lot of stuff like anecdotally, and I love data. Like I love being nosy. I love advocating for the voiceless because I feel like I'm a bear, and I love data. So I know I was talking to like Alaska Primary Care, and Renee was telling me about the work that she was doing for young people to help them get to the application status, but those are not considered active. So she documented those young people in the work in a separate section. So what I'm trying to say, I'm trying to give you opportunities using your monthly reports. Tell me where you spend your time, whether it's the follow-up, the 253 follow-ups, or whether it's like you engage in 4 or 5 new people, but they won't be fully enrolled until like a month later. Use your monthly reports. I know I was talking to Kate. I don't want to go change the reports right away, but those numbers all mean different things. And I apologize. I believe in ownership. So I apologize if my partner did not give you all the information before, but I'm here now. So we're going to just pick up. So exit means something totally different from follow-up. Close is something totally different. So, and as we get those pieces, I know we're going to do good on our performance. Do anyone got any questions regarding the regional update? If you can't make it, we're our partners. Make sure you get with your team for somebody to attend. I plan to attend all 3 days, and I have sent that out to all my teammates, and I have forwarded to you. Any questions about your caseloads? Because I know I've been sending a lot of reports about active cases, and I know some of you guys, like Heidi, Renee, Kate, I know some of you guys got like Jean, internal systems where you track. But again, on your monthly report, I'm going by Alaska Jobs. Again, active cases, those are the ones that have been enrolled all the way through. Use your report to tell me about any clients that you are working with but are not yet a participant, and then your follow-up, because those all mean different things. So do any questions? And I'm going to shut up, put it on mute, so you guys. Renee?
Renee, you're on mute.
Thank you. Sorry. I put my hand down instead of unmuting. So that I found out that the text fields on the progress reports are limited to a certain number of characters. So making those long narratives, I had to cut mine short. If you're wanting us to give you more information, those text fields will have to be made bigger for us.
Okay.
It's that we cannot increase. We cannot increase. That's just standard within the system. So,
Okay.
The only thing I can make, the only suggestion I can make is you have an area that you can do attachments. If it does, if everything doesn't fit in there, you can probably attach additional information. And
That sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, status of the grants. I'm happy to say that all the grants are on 10 are active. They are monthly reports are coming in, financial reports are coming in. So kudos to all the pieces together. All our grants for WIOA Youth are fully active, and your monthly reports and financial reports are coming in. Also, Renee, and I know Heidi, and a couple more. Kudos for using your section for technical assistance, because I do record those and track myself. So I do know I need to follow up and technical assistance in a couple of areas. But now I want to celebrate with you guys. I hope you found a celebration. I like to celebrate. So if you see on your agenda, we kick butt in September, and I say we because I'm like your big cheerleader, but it's really you, these superheroes. You guys kick butts in September, which was the end of the first quarter. You went up almost 6% in training completion. I'm talking about, I'm just a cheerleader. You went up almost 2%, 1.6 in measurable skills gains. And then you see that credential attainment rate. I like round. Look, I went to calculus 4. That's 10%. If anybody asks me, we went up almost 10% for credential attainment rate. So kudos to you and your teams about the increase. When we started in July, I think I mentioned it was you, the youth program, that is helping us, because when we report to the feds, the data is reported collectively, but we do separate it. And because of your work, we barely made this threshold that we had with the feds, and we are like in a almost going to get ourselves monitored by the feds. And so I want to say kudos, and just to make sure you know how good you are doing. I hope you can see my PowerPoint, but I put a reminder of your July's performance, and then a reminder of your August performance. That is very significant. So I wanted to take a minute and give you kudos. And if I really knew how this thing would work, I would put like the clapping emoji on here. So let's give ourselves a round of applause, because you guys are doing it. And I know you get sick of my emails, but that's okay. Good job, good job, good job, good job. Ooh,
Let's say it's under React.
where
Little
is it?
smiley face up.
Oh, right there? Okay, I'm gonna get my claps. And that was for you. Good job. Okay?
Leslie,
Yes.
you're going to the PowerPoint right now?
Yeah, Emma.
Can you guys see the PowerPoint?
You have the way you have right now.
It's-
We see a split screen, a PowerPoint and the rest, and so it's very, very small PowerPoint.
Yes, split screen.
Bigger.
So what you need to do is you,
There you go.
and then go to,
Okay, this PowerPoint has some meaning. I have never been a technical guru, so I apologize. But when we was in Kentucky looking at the JAD conference, I went to this workshop where it described the youth workers as the Avengers. I have been using something similar since I started, because I feel like we're the Avengers. So welcome, Alaska. I love this. But that's your July's performance. That's what we did in July. Our targets and where we was at. This is where we was in August. And your agenda will show where we're at in September. That is significant progress. And you guys are the superheroes. All 10 of you guys. And I appreciate and I love being on this team. Any question regarding your performance? Now, I know some of this has been good. I know it's kind of felt painful. I got a couple of calls, but this has been some good stuff. I was talking to Eugene yesterday, and I know I talked to many of you guys, but If you find something, when I send out the reports that come from my data integrity team, if you find some errors, I need for you to say something. We have within the last 2 months have found codes that were not counted where they should have been counted. We have found codes that needed to be added on. So again, you are helping making sure that our data is accurate and we are telling the whole story. So kudos being a part of the superheroes. Ruth, how did I go? Make it a split screen again.
To exit. East, the east, number. Do her,
Okay. So anybody need a stretch? Anybody need a break? Anybody need some clarification? This goes better if you talk back at me. But you know what? I like the sound of my voice. I like standing up. I even got something wrong with my ankle. So we can be here at 3:30. I'm fine. But it would be better if you had questions. And
So-
Kate, you on mute.
Leslie, going back to Heidi's original question, I want to clarify what I heard. For in-school youth, low income can be waived if they have a disability.
Eugene, you know that question. If an in-school youth, if they have a disability, you can disregard the parent's income. Eugene?
Yeah, I'm looking. We're mostly out of school now, but I think if they're in school, you're required to look at their income.
That's what I originally thought.
Yeah, if they're in school, it's a little bit different if they're out of school.
There's a couple considerations. There's a couple considerations for in school where you don't have to consider parental income.
Disability. Kate?
Go ahead.
You mute.
unmute. You gotta unmute yourself, Kate.
I mean, right?
She needs to unmute herself.
Can you unmute yourself?
So we're right here. It's saying in the policy, it's saying attending school between the ages 14 and 21 and low income. But there's two footnotes. The first footnote goes with the between the ages 14 and 21, youth with disabilities and or with an IEP may be enrolled in school youth up to the age of 22 if the youth is being served by K through 12 public schools. And then the income exception is there is a 5% exception for youth who are over income but otherwise meet the eligibility criteria. So we must approve all the participants served under the 5%. So basically that approval needs to go to us, to Leslie. And she would review it and approve it for the exception.
Kate, I know you was trying to say something, but we could not hear you.
We still can't hear you, Kate.
You can't unmute her. You can mute her.
Press your space bar, Kate, see if that unmutes you.
Leslie tried to unmute her and it let her mute, but not.
And if you can't unmute, Kate, try to check, type your information in and we can read it. And going back to Heidi's question that Renee, and we're going to get some clarification, but sometimes the policy does conflict. So when I went back, I got this from Xavier like a month ago, because this is just how my brain operates, which I think is now typical for some of our younger kids. It used to be when I was young, they say like adults. Adult was big picture thinkers. Sometimes I feel like that's how our young people are. I need to see the picture. I need to see the whole picture versus giving pieces at a time. So I went back and got the state of Alaska signed with our federal governments in regards to WIOA Youth. And so the next on your agenda is the federal award. It mandates that we follow these policies, and it does have in there that if they conflict, and sometimes they do, that you have to go in order. So like the WIOA law, the WIOA Workforce Innovation Act, that's the first thing. And it's 286 pages, and yes, I downloaded it. Then we have to go by Tegels. So it does say, and it's a list, and we are planning to hopefully have this list also included on the RGAs for next year, because you will have sometimes conflict in policies. And I have seen this in other cases, and I like the way the federal government did it to us. If they conflict, it's the list. And the first one is always going to be the law, the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Law. Then we have our Tegels, and then we have other guidance. Then we got our RGA. Then we got our state plan. So you may have conflicts. So hopefully my plan is to write these things down on that grant application. So when you do run across conflicts, you know which policy comes first. Okay. And that's actually what I was doing on your agenda when I say federal award mandates. And so I like a lot of stuff, okay? I like a lot of stuff, and I can do a lot of stuff. So like, again, I like reading. And so again, we may hear, and this actually helped me understand some of the challenges where we had. So let's say I was talking to Roger a lot before he was leaving. And I talked to Shane a lot. So they explained to me follow-up. And they was explaining to me follow-up as based on the feds, which says that if a young person says they do not want to participate, their number is wrong, that you have nothing else to do. But our RGA for the state of Alaska says that we have to use Alaska Jobs. So it's additional steps. So again, I want to clarify these on the RGA. So if they do conflict, or if it's additional steps that are needed, I want to make it clear to you.
That's why I rose my hand. I was like, Jeff, you can't see Jeff back there.
So yes, I just put it into the chat, the actual guidance about youth with disability, where it is just the youth income that level is looked at for the purposes of individual income, or rather than their family income.
Perfect.
But disabled youth.
So you just look at them.
What?
You just look at the youth.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's right there in the chat too, exactly. So if everyone wants to read it, and exactly what to type in if they ever need to find it.
So Heidi, Renee, and others, the assistant director found a policy that we're going by. And so if they have a disability, you can look at their own income and not the parents. And so again, stuff like that conflicts. So you have to read all the policies. And I know I'm the queen of taking one thing and run, because that's what I want to hear, what I want to hear. So I like to know. I tell my supervisor all the time, when I ask you a question, you should know I already read. So again, but you have to read those in order. You just can't take one piece and go with it. It's other pieces that you have to put together. And I like this type of stuff, okay? So I'm having fun. So I put a quote on here. I like quotes too. So if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So that's one of the things that I vowed actually as a young professional when it came to audits. And this is when I worked at the correctional facilities. Like During the audit, people change. They got all stressed. You're trying to get stuff. And I vowed then, as a young girl, if I ever got into a position, I was not going to do that. So I always, and that's how I have set up my professional life. If we get ready, stay ready, build our foundation, then when the auditor comes, come in. Because my stuff is ready. And right now, you guys, we looked at the performance, you guys are so good. I'm so glad to be in this role because you do good work. It's just some little pieces that we got to fine tune. I do know, I think everything is simple. That's how I look at it. So, and I have been talking to some of you guys individually. I think that we can get these little holes fixed. We can enroll more people if your contract says that or your grant says that, and we can be good. So I want you, I want to be as transparent as I can. I want you to give me problems. I think I've been told a couple of you, I want problems, okay? So again, it's all about the youth. And for me, they are 100% of my future. I don't know about you guys. Maybe you got other resources, but the way my life is built up, I need for these young people to be successful. So again, let's get ready. So data validation. That has been the biggest email back and forth, data validation. This is one of those stay ready ones. This has been one of those getting ready ones. So a goal of the AWIP team, and this came from the assistant director, a goal. I didn't say it was short term, I didn't say it was long term, I just said a goal, is that we want all documents to be scanned and appropriately labeled in Alaska Jobs. Now, it is these documents, so in our very first meeting that we had together, after I got over that my brother was really leaving, I told you guys I'm going by what is written. That's all I know. And based on what Shane told me. So it's 2 documents that we have on the WIOA Youth resource page that talks about data validation. I also put those links on your agenda. So the first one, which is one from the feds, it is like 7 pages. And then you have a data validation requirements, which one of the first things that Shane showed me when I first got here. So I have an assignment. It's on your agenda. I want you to look at the data validation requirement sheet. And it's on page 1. It's 2 pages, but I'm telling you, it's on page 1. And I want one of you guys, all of you guys, you can put it in a chat box. Tell me one of the areas that need to be updated on page 1. And you're looking at the data validation requirement sheet, page 1. If you are able to chat, if you can put that in your chat box or put it by your name on page 1, what needs to be updated?
Are you talking about the youth source documentation cheat sheet?
The one below that, I'm talking about the data validation requirement sheet. I think if you look on the AWIP resource, it just called data validation requirements. I think I just copied and pasted. Really, also remember, my mind is very simple. I think I just went to that page and copied. So this, you should find it listed like that exactly on the youth resource page. And on page 1, is something wrong. Whatever says wrong, it needs to be updated. I want you to tell me what needs to be updated on page 1.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Which so it was one of the attachments in your email today?
I did put it in attachment.
So the eligibility and data validation documentation sheet? I'm just not sure what sheet we're talking about here. Sorry.
Okay, that's all right. I can pull it up. Okay.
You have your agenda on the deck?
Yeah, there's no, it's on Xavier's right here in the chat.
Okay.
No, I emailed it to Xavier. Where's on Teams?
Oh, Xavier, did you get it?
The chat, they can just put it in there.
Okay. Look.
You didn't throw it in the chat?
No, to put it in the chat.
Okay, but if you go back to
That's what they
Xavier,
did.
they put it in there.
Oh, in the teams.
Yeah.
So
So
they can do that.
there you go. Oh, he put it right there. Jeff, that right there. That's the one.
This one.
Yeah, thank you, Joshua.
The image.
That's my meeting. And this is a link. I put it right under. Okay, go to that second one.
This one?
Yep, that one.
And Leslie, you're asked, I'm on the sheets of the youth EV, so it's the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act Title I, correct?
Go back to this thing.
1 second, let me make sure.
This
Thank
one?
you. Yeah. Okay,
This one.
thank you. So on page 1,
Share the main screen. What's
thank
the
you. By the
Share.
time this year is over, I'm going to be so good with this technology stuff. Okay, matter of fact, it's on this. We don't even look at the whole page. Just stay right there. Go up. It's something in this section that needs to be updated. Can you find it? That's all I want you to do.
Shelby and Kate have offered answers.
Okay, what you got, Shelby? What did you say?
The document refers to ICM instead of Alaska Jobs, and because I'm from the Literacy Council, there's apostrophes that are unnecessary also in the instructions.
Oh, I love this team. And Kate, because Shelby, we're going to always be friends. Kate, what did you have? Did you put the same thing? Yes, that's what's wrong. Thank you. Just on page 1. And I guess what? I'm one of those people who would have noticed that and would have went to Xavier and got on his nerves. But justice is not to be skinned into ICM. I wasn't even here with ICM. Nobody knows about ICM probably but Eugene and Kate, okay? That was before our time. Jean, you see something else?
Well, perhaps in addition, it's like we get a lot of kids that youth that have SNAP cards. And so it would be nice to have like a mark at the bottom says other public assistance receipt. Maybe just one that says SNAP, because that verifies other public assistance, and it also kind of verifies low income as well.
Okay.
Would we be able to?
Okay.
Dependent on the.
You know, Jean, you got to remind me. I got good intentions, a bad mind, but I will see what we can do. Heidi, did you have anything too about that document? Did you find it?
Yeah, I was just gonna, not specifically page 1 because I don't know now, but I would say that what's listed in the youth resource documentation cheat sheet for, and what's listed on the eligibility and debt validation documentation sheet, they don't always match. So what's listed in the cheat sheet of what you can use for documentation is not always matching what's on the other sheet of paper as far as what you can use for documentation. And so I noticed that, but I don't have any specific examples in general. It was several occasions where the cheat sheets options don't match the options in this multicolored piece of paper.
So in some cases, Heidi, like again, maybe it's on me. I just got this place in July now, but maybe it's on me. Maybe I need to update it. This, I know the one that we just looked here, this was like one of the first documents that Shane showed me when I started, and it was 4 years ago yesterday. So maybe that's on me that I need to update it. When I've been reading all the Fed stuff and in the webinars, the one that's listed WIOA Youth documentation cheat sheet, this is the most current information from our federal government. So like, again, from my research, it's the one that says the documentation cheat sheet is the more current, but I feel, and this is why we're talking about it, probably most of us, especially the ones that's been doing this for a while, we're looking at the one that say with the colors, and that's not all. So right now, and I got all my leaders here, until we get this updated, I would recommend you use the documentation cheat sheet. This is the most current document from our feds. Okay? So I'm putting that out there now. And different states do different things. My AD, he's like probably one of the first people since I've been here that's trying to learn how I learn. So he's giving me other things visual so I can see. So, because I know it's ways that we can make this easier. So, like even this 7 pages, because and I have met most of you guys, so I know your intentions are good, your work is good, but like with something like this, we actually got to go through it and read it. So, like if you look at the first, now if you go pull the WIOA Youth documentation cheat sheet, and this is what is being used by our internal staff that's doing data validation. So, for instance, I have seen a lot of things with measurable skills games that says, client statement. If you go by the WIOA Youth cheat sheet and you start looking at page 6 and you start at 1806, a client statement is not acceptable for anything in the measurable skills game family. That self-attestation, that's good about if I finish high school, I can self-attest that I don't have any money, but a young person cannot self-attest that they got a credential. So yeah, and again, I really don't like to work too hard. My mom is 90, she'll tell you that. I done learned all kinds of tricks that I want to share with you guys, such as this is the case that we have now where Alaska Works that's now co-enrolled. And I have seen the job center staff have our young person to resubmit validation. No, none of us should be doing that. It's a way that I can link to your information if it's still current. So again, as I'm learning all these tricks, I want to share them with you. And some of that's going to be due diligence. And I also understand, but I do understand we can't sometimes see all the case notes. So just know I'm thinking about this stuff and I'm trying to break it down. Jeff has found some things that we may mimic and break this 7-page document. But again, I like patterns. Math was my thing. I used to tutor at UAA, Heidi. I went to Calculus 4. I used to tutor math. So like with patterns, I like patterns. So like when you look at self-attestation, they stopped using that on page 2. It's only a couple of things that you can take the statement for. Talking to Renee, and Eugene, you my witness, you know I have managed the biggest welfare to work program in the state, and that was pay for performance. One of our strategies did, and I know I've been sharing this with Renee, and this is also in your RGA, and I said this before, it's intake. You want to do a good intake. In some cases, maybe the young person, I just say this, maybe they should be better served with voc rehab. Maybe this young person needs to complete their mental health treatment first. It's different stuff for different folks. And in some cases, we need to be very clear with our young people of the expectations. Now, again, people going to do what people do. So if they're going to go MIA, they're going to go MIA. But again, a good orientation or a good intake, because if you enroll in my program, if they enroll in your program, and I saw this, even if you can help them in 2 months, we got to do a year follow-up. And I saw your hand, Eugene. So what you got? And I saw Heidi next.
Oh, I wanted to talk about what I talked about before about the SNAP benefits. So I think you answered my question already.
Okay, but hold on. You say I got my pen. The SNAP, you got a SNAP letter, and that meets. And you want to verify that letter meets some of your data validation?
Well, for example, like oftentimes youth come in and they have SNAP cards with them.
Okay.
You know, I want to be able to mark that on the data validation eligibility and data validation documentation sheet. Just by not, and usually what I do is I just write it in, but it'd be nice if it was there already.
Okay, I wrote it down, Eugene.
All right, thank you.
Okay. And Renee, and then I think it was Heidi.
Oh, go ahead. I've got my question answered through the conversation.
Okay, Heidi?
No, I haven't muted myself. I'm good.
Okay. Okay, so I like to work smarter, not harder. So, and I believe, and this is just my belief, if it's not true, say something. I believe when Alaska Jobs first came out, and it still has hiccups, like all last week it was slow as Christmas. So it's not like the fastest moving tool. I believe, because I heard a lot of people, talk about it, da 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 da. So I believe that we thought it was like, okay, we don't have to use it. Again, with my effort to work smarter, not harder, even for the data validation, from the previous coordinator, I was told, and which I'm happy, that you guys rock with the data validation. It was no problem. But last week, my current supervisor talked to the staff, and I got a different story. That it's errors that we have to go fix. I just think that just takes too much time, and we have to go back and fix it. So I just want you guys to know now the expectations. So everywhere Alaska Jobs, I think one of the best thing is to trust it. And if it got a blue link for you to verify and to scan, it really would be just easier on all of us if you do it as you go. Otherwise, you're going to spend time afterwards trying to get all those documents together. And maybe, I know this about my personal life, maybe sometimes people don't tell the truth. And I'm guilty of that. Sometimes I'm trying to make you feel good, and maybe I don't tell you exactly. But I know, and I didn't ask about any agency, but I was told as a whole, and Xavier's right here, he want to add on to it, but like our data validation processes have not been 100%. Xavier, you got something about that?
I don't have a lot about that. I know data validation is a point of contention for many grantees, but she's right. When we have only a couple of people that do the data validation on our side, and what's been happening is we're uploading a whole bunch of things at once at the end, and that creates a lot of work on our side to validate each of those documents. So it is much better for you to do it as you go. That way it makes it easy for us to get what we need out of the system instead of having to scroll through and try to find it in the huge document that's been uploaded at once. I know it seems easier to do it at the end and upload everything at once to save time, but trust me, it's more time taken on our side when we're doing it for so many grantees.
I think it's more on you guys too, because you are having to find the documents, having to look for them. I've been looking at some of the cases like Shannon. She's not here, and I'm not saying she's the only one, but I know Amtech since July, they have really been uploading the documents and like labeling them correctly, because I learned doing our co-enrollment processes, if Natasha has already got Xavier birth certificate and it's uploaded, I can link it. I don't have to ask Xavier for nothing. I can just link it and it will come to mine, and it will put itself to mine. So it's
Question,
yes.
can we go back into previous entered notes or activities and upload the verification there instead of just uploading random docs?
Okay, so no, we don't want you to do that. What we want you to do is from this point moving forward,
Okay.
do those things. So don't worry about going back in time and
Okay.
fixing what was done before. Let's take it from where we are today and then move forward from there.
Okay,
And
thank you.
And that's the response also for our data as well. I was the data supervisor last month. They have a response to the feds regarding our data and some of the errors. And so like right now, we just need to start and move forward. And again, Alaska jobs may be slow, but I'm telling you, it's going to save you a lot of time. I like the way it can link documents, and we are working on that co-enrollment process. One more thing with the data validation is case notes, and this is just a general statement. One of the things that I like about Department of Labor is because your notes compared to where I came from are very simple. Like I just heard Renee, you can't even type that much in your monthly progress reports. We used to have to write books. I'm talking about the whole books, every paragraph, every note. And that's not what you guys are expected to do. Some of the case notes can really be $20 given, and that's good. That has never been up to standard in my previous fields, but case notes. In some cases, you're not using the case notes, and you need to. So case notes, it's a section there. If you need help finding it, I can help find it. But I've noticed that when I've been practicing on entering people into the system and the services, at the bottom, it comes up a little template that say case note. So like you can do it right there and just call it and go on by your business versus having to do something separate.
No, go for it. I know you were gonna say something. Go for it.
I'm trying to figure out how to word this. So first of all, let me roll back a little bit. These are a lot of changes that are coming that we're asking you guys to make, and we know that it's going to be a bit stressful for you guys, and that's why we have the assistant director here as well to support Leslie and to support you guys in the direction that we need to go. We did some self-assessments on our own systems, and we realized that we were doing a lot of things incorrectly. And we're having to correct everything that we've been doing to comply with our federal WIOA Youth program. So I know that there's a lot of changes it's going to be cumbersome at first, but once we get into the swing of things, it's going to even itself out. I promise you that. And trust me, as you can see with Leslie, it's stressful even for us because we got to be the one to deliver the messages and then make sure that they're being done, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work that we've got to check it to make sure that it's accurate as well. With your case notes, one of the reasons why the case notes are important is you'll have some participants that will go and receive services from another provider or either come to the job center to get services. And what recently happened, and Leslie can support me on this here, a participant went to the job center to get services. When the grantee thought they were done, the WIOA Youth grantee thought they were done, the job center staff cannot create another service for that or create another record for that participant. And so they added it to the WIOA Youth, which extended the time that the grantee had to work with that participant. So if you put a case note in, another provider can see exactly where you are in your processes with that participant and then know where to go from there. Does that make sense? So case notes in that regard are very, very important.
And they should be detailed.
And they should be. We want those case notes to be a little bit more detailed than just $20. We want you to specify the what, when, where, and why, if that makes sense. So we want you to use Alaska Jobs as the case management system, not only for your records, but also for any other person that may touch that participant. The case notes come in very handy, and you will also be able to see case notes from other agencies or entities as well when it comes to serving a participant. Because technically speaking, if one agency is providing a service, another agency is not supposed to provide that same exact service. So if we case note, we can see what services are being provided or where you are with the participant.
Isn't there a 30-day rule for case notes too, that they have to be entered within a specific time frame of interaction?
So the case note should, so once you have determined a participant eligible for the WIOA Youth program, you have 30 days to get the participant entered into Alaska Jobs.
Okay.
So we previously said 7 days because that's the information we were told. We're correcting that right now. You have 30 days from the time that the participant has been determined eligible. All right, and then once a participant comes in, you have another 30 days to get everything in there. And it's better to do it immediately so you don't forget, so don't let time elapse. Get it in right away so that you can move on to something else.
Okay, and I can help with the case notes. I promise they're not, it may be more than $20, but it's not a book. And where I came
Right,
from,
right.
we just have to do a
It's not
book.
yeah.
So all of this, I promise you, I got ways to make it easier. Eugene?
Yeah, I've a clarification question. So, hey, just say I have a youth, you just mentioned 30 days, just say I have a youth that comes in, just say the beginning of September, we'll just call it 9/1. And they come in, because this happens with us frequently, a youth will come in and then nothing will happen with that youth for a while, but then they come back, just say on 10/15, that's clearly more than 30 days. But what we do is we don't put that youth into the system, the VOS system right away on 9/1. We wait until actually services are rendered. So that would be 10/15, we would enter that kid into the VOS system. But right there, we have a discrepancy because on paper, his paper application says he enrolled on 9/1, but we're putting the system on.
Case from that. My suggestion, like with that case, not have the young adult sign. If you're not ready to enroll them, don't have them sign that document. Because if you have them sign that document, you have 30 days. If those 30 days lapse, and if you meet with them back on 10/15, they're gonna have to be signed every document for that date time period, and then you'd have 30 days from there.
So you have 30 days. Okay.
Yeah, so that's, my advice with that one. You are subject matter experts, and if you are not quite sure that young adult is ready to enroll when you have all the paperwork done, hold off on the signature and do whatever you might do, provide the services or see if they come back. And when they come back, like on the 15th, and they seem ready to enroll, then have them sign, or you'd have to have them re-sign everything again. Or if it's after 90 days, they'd have to redo the whole entire application.
Right. I like Leslie's comments about people being people, is that sometimes they come in and they say the right thing and they're ready to go, but then we don't see them again for a while.
Yeah.
And I like that process, like, don't sign it.
In that, we understand, we're working with young adults, actually, we'll just start there, we're working with people, and we're not always the most reliable or focused, and things like that will happen, and we'll understand that, and we'll try and work with it. But yeah, it's just like the suggestion that you realize people are people.
Kate, and then Heidi.
Oh, we can't hear you, Kate.
I think she's good. I think you're gonna have to sign
Or
off and then go back and come back in, see if that works.
Kate gets,
Okay, Heidi?
Okay, so just following off of Eugene's then, so you have the paper applications dated 9/1.
Right.
And then they're coming, and then we're meeting with them to do the 203. So you got the 117, and then you have a 203 and a 406. Okay, so we talk about the objective assessment, the ISS, all of that. So if it takes more than 30 days to accomplish those three things, because the person, it just took them that long to get in, we try to get them in within 30 days, but if it's taking them longer than 30 days to accomplish those three codes, is that then technically not okay? Or where do you mean 30 days from the point of what to what?
My thought process, 30 days from the time you have everything ready to enroll them, so all the data validation, you have the completed application, you have all the signatures on the required forms, and then the application.
So we're talking the 117, the 203, and the 406. Is that right?
I'm not familiar with the codes.
Heidi, I could. Yeah, my example was this, is that they come in on 9/1 and they fill out everything correctly. We have all the data validation documents, and just say the kid wants to start GED. This is all example. So, and they tell us, they're ready to start on 9/1, but we don't see them again until 10/15. So they told us 9/1 and they're all ready to go on 9/1, but then we don't see them again until 10/15.
Because what we've run into is situations where, because it takes more than one day to get some of these tasks done sometimes, depending on how long they're here. And so to get them back in, they say like they want to get their GED, you know, it's like, okay, let's get you enrolled, but it takes, you know, they have transportation issues, they've got things going on. And so then it takes more than 30 days from the time of the paper application to the time of them starting that 300 activity for GED. Can take more than 30 days before they actually start that 300 activity.
Yeah, because I can use an example. I was working with adults. We would not enroll someone typically the first or even the second appointment that we had with the adult, because we have them do the homework, you know, all, you know, the job, you know, going through ONET, all those type of things, getting all the documentation, all the background, just kind of what they want to do and working through those. Once they've kind of gone through then we would go, usually potentially could be the first, but sometimes the second or third or even fourth appointment that we had with that person, we would then like, okay, you know, here's all, we need data validation, sign the application, enroll, do all those type of things. So that's something that I did as a case manager. I didn't enroll persons on the first time I saw them. I usually typically met with them and started the process. And then once we got to a point where you have a feeling that they're ready to go and they're saying the right thing, then complete the enrollment process and do everything that we do to get them enrolled in the system.
Okay, I don't quite understand that, but we can, well, I'm sure we'll revisit again at another time. Sorry.
But Heidi, I think like the rule is, from what I understand, and I'm learning too, from the time we have 30 days from an application to enter that person Alaska job. Like that's the rule. Like, but this is where the creativity is, because like the rule makers don't work with the clients. So like we got to come up to strategies to meet our client needs. So I saw with Gene and what I'm hearing from Jeff, and I done did something like this too. And this is where case management become an art. We have the Fed's rules, and I'm telling you now, we have not been meeting all of their federal rules. But now we're going to start so we have 30 days. Now, how are we going to set that up? I don't think it's just one answer, because everybody is different. I do like the strategies about you got the application, except that the last page, just don't put a date on it. Like, just don't put a date. Like everything that would have a date, you probably would not put a date on it until you come back. Like, so, but that's just one. But I don't think it's supposed to be, in my opinion, you're not going to get like one answer. This is where the creativity, but you do have 30 days. So like now how you set up to do in Kenai may look different from what Kate doing in Juneau. That's the beauty of this. But we have 30 days. And then I'm sure Renee going to come up with something different. But then, and that's where best practices come from. And then if I see DJJ, they got well, they people are right there. If DJJ can do it, maybe they come up with a strategy that I can use pieces of it. But like, I don't think it's supposed to be, in my experience, anytime when you come with a code line or code policy, you're taking the art from case management. And we're served individuals. Just know we got 30 days to get that paperwork in. I can't wait to see what you guys to develop. But to me, what I have heard, the easiest way is that we are not going to put a date on this form until you come back. So like that to me would be easy. No dates until the 15th. Because if you put that date, don't be illegal and get the white out. I got all kinds of tricks. But if you put the date, now you got to do some of those pages over. I didn't even say the whole application, but I may got to do some of those pages over. What we need to know is 30 days.
I'm sorry. Yeah, for you, Gene and Heidi, just a quick question. When you are getting ready to put a participant in, do you guys use the 117 code at all?
Eligibility of determination?
Yes.
Yeah, that's always the first code we put in.
Okay, all right, so that's your 30 days right there. Once you determine the eligible, you got them enrolled. You have 30 days from the time they sign the application to get them in. So that your 117 is your first code you put in. You've done your work. And so if they don't come back in until 45 days, you're still in the shape there.
Okay, so we're not talking, so maybe I'm misunderstanding the word enrollment, because I thought a person was not a participant until after they got their ISS done, which is a couple steps after the 117. So do we have 30 days to get the 117 in, or we have 30 days to get all the way through the process to the point of ISS done?
Okay, so the 117 should be the determination of eligibility, right?
That's the application form, basically, because the application form tells that you're eligible or not.
You're determining their eligibility at that point. Now, once you get to the ISS, that is when you determine that they're going to be a participant. In some cases, now I'm hoping that this wouldn't be in all cases. There might come a time where the participant may not be determined eligible. That's when you'll reach out to Leslie or me or Rue to fix those kinds of things.
Like the 5%.
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm asking is, do we have 30 days to get the paper application into the Alaska job system and enter the 117? Or do we have 30 days to enter the paper application, the assessment, the ISS, so they can start services and be a participant?
I don't have the answer, Heidi, and this was my meeting, so you email me that and I get you the answer back.
Okay.
Because if you ask Leslie, I will say 24 hours, okay? You got 24 hours. Okay, well, let us get that. Because again, those are good questions, okay? And I know we got 4 minutes. I'm sorry, Eugene.
Sorry. Like what I would do is for this, and I appreciate, Leslie, how you're saying there's an art in case management. What I would do is I like what you said is about when the youth or the client fills out the enrollment paperwork, maybe they just don't date it. But then when you're actually start delivering services, they throw a date on there. And then you can put the youth into the state database. So your 117 agrees with what's on the paperwork. To me, that matches data validation, is that the paperwork matches what's in VOS.
I would, Eugene, I like that. And I would also turn that into a conversation because, again, we work with clients that got at least one or more barriers. Those are the youth. So, like, again, that would be part of my, life skill coaching. We're not going to put a date on this form today. Maybe you're not going to even sign it until you come back. That's a way you're going to show that you're ready to participate and prepared to participate. No harm, no foul. Because I know people that are vulnerable, they usually would sign anything. So you can even turn that into a lesson about financial literacy, because I like humor. If you sign this paper, can you sign that credit card application? So stop signing. And when you come back, so I like that, Jean. And Kate, you had something. You ready to talk?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, good. Yay. All right. So it was my understanding, in order for a participant to be truly enrolled, is that they have to have 4 services entered. So they have to have the they have to have the eligibility determination, the objective assessment, and the ISS form signed saying that they're going to complete an ISS. And so that ISS might be evolving over time. And then the 4th service is any service that we give them that extends their case being open. And at that point, then a participant is fully enrolled. And so if we would do that within 30 days.
So I have all this information. I'm gonna go just verify when that 30 days start, what exactly has to be done. But so far, guess what? That has not been a problem for you guys. Don't make it a problem, okay? Don't make it a problem. I'll be looking at your reports. That's not a problem. We don't want to start one. The only thing that I need for you to, if you want to start something, look on the back of your agenda, and if I got it in red or if I got it highlighted, that may be a hint. But that's not a problem for us. We have been, I think a couple of us may have been 7 days late entering the application. Because guess what? Our data team got a report for that too. That's not what we're focusing on. Don't make this a problem, okay? Tighten up what your processes are, but this is not where we're going to focus at. System closures. and I got 10 minutes. We're going to focus on system closures. Now, again, you guys are helping me with my communication, my written communication, my verbal communication. I told you I just got accepted into my doctorate program. I'm going to push it back. I won't start until next year. But system closures, I really try to write complete steps. So I just want to, and this one has not passed the bar. When I say that we need to eliminate and avoid system closures, that's not a good thing. From the leadership reviews, it appears that people think that when you have system closure, it's interpreted that your case managers are not following their cases. It should not be in a system closure. Now, a young person going to do a young person. If you say that you're going to go do this hair school, you change your mind, it's a code that says, and you done dropped out, I put the date, did not complete. That is good, okay? That is so good. You knew your client did not complete. That's okay. But when it shows system closure, that shows that we're not monitoring. I like tools. A tool box, and we can do a whole training about this. Tools are very important, but I like a butter knife. With a butter knife, I can unscrew, I can turn around a hammer, I can spray, I can do a whole bunch of stuff with a butter knife. So with your tools, you got reports. And the ones who have asked, I apologize if I have not went over everybody, but in Alaska Jobs, my reports, you can pull a report about your closures. Now, again, I may not know everything, but I know how to keep Xavier off my back, even if I just did it the last day. So keep me away. It should not be no system closure. It's a whole report. And that's only means that you guys to be mindful of when this date. And if I tell a young person, now again, I done did work for the work, I done did corrections, I done did substance abuse. We working with young people. So I do recommend you need to have regular follow-up, regular. Because if you're supposed to start a class on Monday, I need to know by Monday, did you show up or not? If you don't follow up, people think you don't care. So like sometimes it's just creating systems. I'm working with Jeff to get you guys Sarah soon, so that's going to be great. But right now you have reports. I suggest that you run those reports off weekly. It has been also recommended to me, I have not did this, that I actually have you guys to give me evidence that you're doing these reports weekly. I don't want to do that because I think you can do it. Make the system closures go away. And not only do you have your weekly reports that you can run off weekly, you also have access to alerts, okay? Your alerts. So we have two tools, butter knife, hammer, you get your electric screwdriver, whatever you want, nail file, but your reports and your alerts. We should not have system closures. And I'm talking about the world is never going to be perfect. I learned that since I've been to the state. So again, I would deal with like 2 or 3 system closures, but the amount that we've been having, no. So again, I sent the email in July. You have access to your reports and alerts. Let's make the system errors go away. We're not going to finish this whole agenda, but exits. So I do give kudos to everybody. I think we finally got the active participants. Active is active. They have to be enrolled. You got to match that participate button. The ones that you engage with on 9-1, they didn't complete their paperwork. They're not active yet. Then you got your exits. So your exits, those are not your follow-up. Your exits are showing the system, showing the state that your staff are great case managers, because your exits are saying, I know that Heidi has completed her program. She completed it Monday. I got my certification. I went in, I put successfully completed. I got my certification. I uploaded it. Me and Heidi talked. She needs nothing else. But I have closed it. It's not going to be a system error, a system closure if I go in and do my steps. So again, talking to some of you guys, you have great systems. Let's use them. X's are different. 12 months follow-up. Follow-up, and I know we got a case like this now. Follow-up, we cannot get rid of those follow-ups. So if you enroll them, they are ours for another 12 months. And guess what? We have a case like this now. We probably got more than one. I got one provider, Literacy Council, doing follow-up, and a new application is under 9-star. That is totally possible. And guess what? Literacy still have to do that follow-up. But like Shelby and Jean got a good relationship, because anything that Jean does and get her in is going to count successfully for Literacy Council follow-up. Those two different things. It's more information that we need to do on co-enrollment. We're not going to do that today, but follow-up is something serious. And I did put down the recent TEGL, and I sent those to you guys too to look at. MSGs, I got 4 minutes. I gave you a draft. Heidi, I apologize. I know what I say. I didn't follow. You'll get used to it. I told Heidi I had this on Monday. Well, I had it this week, okay? So that's it. It's just a draft, okay? It is just a draft, but I want to make it as easy as possible for the MSGs. Kate, I hope this makes you happy. On your September report, MSGs, that client still showed up. I have already sent that out for a grievance, and I need to CC you. So again, just because I say these people are excluded and I need for you to do something, I need for you to look at it. I know Eugene called me yesterday. He found errors in the system. Kate then found some errors. That's only as good as you going through your reports. So for the MSGs, I have attached to this agenda a draft. And I think for MSGs, number one, you need to know all the codes to the best of my ability that's going to cause an MSG document. And I have that in this draft document that's attached to your agenda. It says draft. I also got some Leslie in there, and Jeff already told me that that was not the policy. So you can see the Leslie, I highlighted it. It says that once you get the certification, that you was going to upload it in 24 hours. That was me. That's not policy. I already know it's going to be changed because it's 30 days, okay? So that's just a draft. But I want you to look at it. I want you to look at that and see if you can give that to your team members and if they will understand MSGs and what they need to do. Shelby, you are an educator. Most of you guys are educators. You can red pen me, makes me better. So if you see grammatical errors, fix it. If you see some things that are not gonna, that makes it unclear, fix it. But I'm trying to produce, that was my tip, a document to help us with the MSGs. And so I have listed all the codes that is going to require an MSG, and I put in red, subject to be updated, because I have seen, I think, where Alaska works, other codes that are being required that we need to get a handle on. Any questions with the MSG document? And it's got draft written on it and a watermark. Okay, so I know where I stopped off. You will see some of this in your next agenda. We have 1 minute. I hope that I did not overwhelm you as much as my emails. And I'm glad that everybody is here. So email me, and then I know, again, I will be following up with some of you guys to send out some surveys to get some dates to do some technical assistance. And as far as the supported services, entering costs. I think I have that down, but I'm either going to start with APCA or KPC or AmTech to enter some of those codes, and then we will set up a training. But I think I have it. But I want to start and either pick on one of you guys to test it, and then I can show you all how to enter those codes. I also type 90 words a minute. So I was talking to the AD. So if I can help enter some of those codes, I will do that for you as well. But I'm going to start with one of those three. to practice intramural services. And so either next month or before, I will send out a notice if we can do another training to get everybody on board. So it's 3:30. I'm finished. I'm
Leslie,
glad
I'd
you
love
all
to be your
said.
test subject for entering codes. This is Renee. I
Okay.
have to work with you like we have been on that.
Okay, so I got you. Okay, this is good. I'm glad you're still standing. So I'll see you next month. Call me if you need me. Text me. Anything. Goodbye.
Bye, bye, Leslie.
Bye-bye.
Just
all right.
appreciate you, Leslie. I appreciate you, Xavier. Thank you for getting all this squared away. I love having clear instructions, and APCA is working on getting their internal SOPs in order, and I couldn't do it without you two. So thank you.
Thank
If
you.
and if you want to do the poll, I can't find it when scrolling up. I don't know where it's at.
Let me try to send it again. It's right under Jeff's message.
View poll for responses. I found it now. I didn't think I went far enough. Okay. All right. Hold on 1 second. Don't close out the meeting yet. If
No, not closing.
He was good because you know I was going to
only let's us pick one time.